Hey friends, today I think we'll talk about those bathroom bills. I do want to go over a bit about these bills that are being passed, a bit about bills that are trying to be passed in other states, and a bit about what we can do to help and educate ourselves on this issue that should not be an issue. So first things first, I'm just going to talk about House Bill 2, which was passed in North Carolina on March 23rd. The entire text of the bill I'm going to put right below. That's what I'm reading off of right now. Part 1. Single-sex multiple occupancy bathroom and changing facilities. Definitions. The following definitions are used. Biological sex. The physical condition of being male or female, which is stated on a person's birth certificate. Lo and behold, this totally does not acknowledge biological diversity, and sex also exists on a spectrum where there isn't just male and female, there's a whole mix of everything in between and outside of it, just like gender. So that is wrong. You are not just male or female. There's something called intersex that a lot of people are. 2. Multiple occupancy bathroom or changing facility. A facility designed or designated to be used by more than one person at a time where students may be in various states of undress or changing or in the presence of other persons. A multiple occupancy bathroom or changing facility may include, but is not limited to, a restroom, locker room, changing room, or shower room. Local boards of education shall require every multiple occupancy bathroom or changing facility that is designated for student use to be designated for and used only by students based on their biological sex. So as you can see, they're basically saying that you can only use the public restroom if it's multiple occupancy based on your biological sex. Right, well, let me get through the rest of this text and just highlight one more thing that I find to be extremely problematic. So you go down to the last page, page 5, and it says the legislative declaration. It is the public policy of this state to protect and safeguard the right and opportunity of all individuals within the state to enjoy fully and equally the goods, services, facilities, privileges, advantages, and accommodations of place of public accommodation free of discrimination because of race, religion, color, national origin, or biological sex, provided that designating multiple or single occupancy bathrooms or changing facilities according to biological sex, as defined in GS blah 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 blah, shall not be deemed to constitute discrimination. Well, I think that's exactly what it does. I think it absolutely constitutes discrimination based off of your biological sex. This is discrimination based off of sex. Bathrooms have not been a problem. This law has just gone into place and it's been passed when there was no issue. It's not like a transgender person went into a bathroom and assaulted someone. That didn't even happen. So also below, I'm going to include a link to this forward.com article that I read, what's really behind the angst over transgender bathrooms. And I was reading through this last night and it highlighted and reminded me that this isn't an issue about transgender people. This essentially comes from a fear of men, and it's being taken out on the transgender community. They're not worried about folks on my end of the spectrum, female to male transgender people, using the men's restroom. In all of these interviews and in all these reports, like, people are like, oh, no, that's not a problem. It's the idea of a male to female transgender person or transgender woman using the female restroom that they're like, no, absolutely not. Fear, 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 fear. Scary. The idea of someone that potentially has male genitalia existing in that place is the scariest and worst idea ever, is what people are basically reacting to. So it is not a fear of the trans community, it is a fear of men pretending to be trans as a way to gain access to these public spaces and to assault or be creepy or be predators on women. That is what this is about. And we as the transgender community cannot be this little bubble that people are just like, well, anything deviant or weird or criminal, like, yeah, they could just pretend to be trans in order to, you know, mess with our brains and get access to these things. Anyway, this article is really long. I definitely recommend reading it. I'm putting the link below, and I just wanted to highlight that I do believe that this is a fear of men as perpetrators of violence, and that this has nothing really to do with transgender youth. Also, in the news, they basically said that they've got no way of enforcing this. There's not going to be bathroom police. There's not going to be really any way other than if a complaint is made, and at that point the person might have left the bathroom and be totally fine. So ideally and realistically, this law isn't even about the physical practice. It's about the emotional toll that it's taking on the LGBT community to emotionally distress us, to dehumanize us, and to belittle us, to restrict us, to segregate us, to discriminate against us. This has nothing to do with actual physical people walking in and out of the bathrooms. It is a total psychological mind game that is making it harder for us to just exist as human beings and to feel that we deserve the same rights and privileges as cisgender people. So while it physically causes problems, like, hey, which bathroom am I going to choose? The emotional repercussions of this, of knowing that there are people out there who just are that hateful, that hateful, to make something up out of thin air and pass it as a law, that is way more dangerous than the actual physical issue of these bathrooms, in my mind. That's my personal opinion on it, of course. All of this is. So, yeah, just keep that in mind. The last article I would definitely recommend reading 100% is this Autostraddle article called After North Carolina, 9 states have 14 anti-trans bills in the works. I put the link to it below as well, and I just wanted to let you know I'm from Massachusetts, and that there is Massachusetts Bill H1320 that actually is going, it's been presented, and these bills are being presented in several states. Most of them get shot down. The problem is that North Carolina's didn't. It just got passed with no questions asked, no modifications, and that's a problem. So I recommend reading this, figuring out what your state is doing. These are sponsored by the Family Research Council, so this kind of very anti-trans hateful group that's going out being like, hey, you should try and pass this bill, just kind of sneaking under. No. Nothing's gonna get stuck underneath us, all right? So this bill text for Massachusetts does the exact same thing that this North Carolina bill just did. It says it wants to modify, saying that the meaning of gender identity shall be distinct from that of sex and sexual orientation. Access to lawfully sex-segregated facilities, accommodations, resorts, and amusements, as well as educational, athletic, and therapeutic activities and programs shall be controlled by an individual's anatomical sex of male or female, regardless of that individual's gender identity. So there's pretty much no chance that that's going to get passed in Massachusetts, but just reading it and knowing that that has to be debated over really disgusts me. So please, please, please educate yourself, look at this list, and see if there's anything going on in your state. It gives you resources on what you can also do to help prevent these things from going through. Be a squeaky wheel, make a lot of noise. So last but not least, what can I do to help support people in states where these laws are being passed? What can I do to help educate people? What can we do? Now, the thing about it is, I both approve of and disapprove of businesses that are leaving North Carolina. The North Carolina bill also included something called a religious freedom, where it allows you to discriminate against LGBT people if it violates your religious beliefs. So, for example, a gay couple wants to get married. Oh, I'm sorry, no, we're too religious. We can't have that here. We don't believe in that. So they're denied services for their wedding. That they just made legal down there too. I was listening to NPR with my mom driving cross country, and there was a wonderful, wonderful company down there that was saying, well, we're not going to leave. We're two gay men. We partnered and founded this company together, and we're together in it, and we're not going to leave because we don't want that 16-year-old closeted gay kid who's sitting at home at his dining room table with his parents, the parents being like, yes, this is a great bill, this is a great law, oh yeah, super homophobic. We don't want him sitting there. He can't say anything, he can't leave, he can't do anything, and having nowhere to go while every other LGBT person around him flees. And that really stuck to me. That really stuck with me, and I thought to myself, I totally applaud that. I applaud people that were planning on going to North Carolina, choosing not to, as a way to protest, but I also really support the people that are staying, because there still needs to be support there. The transgender youth that are still in elementary, middle, and high school, they can't just up and choose to go to another state that's going to protect them. They may not ever be able to leave North Carolina. So this needs to change in North Carolina. And how do we do that? Well, of course, advocating for your own safety and your own rights, challenging the system. I've seen so many different ways of people who are using the bathrooms or not using bathrooms and handing out cards to educate about this issue. Who knows? It probably can get overturned if enough people in North Carolina and if around this country make a big deal over it, which we are. So I definitely recommend educating, spreading the word, if this is going to happen in your state or a state that you know, to put the word out and make sure that you are as aware as you possibly can be. This is a hateful minority, and we cannot allow them to come across as the hateful majority. So if I go to North Carolina, what bathroom am I going to use? Should I bring my birth certificate that says female? Should I bring ID that, signifies this? What am I going to do? I don't know yet. So I would love to continue this conversation. If you have any thoughts, comments, suggestions of resources, please list them below. And yeah, thank you for listening to me. This is really near and dear to my heart because, in high school when I didn't know where I could pee and parents were calling in saying, oh, this guy can't be in this bathroom or that bathroom, blah, blah, blah. It felt like, seriously? I'm just trying to exist and go to school, and you're going to make this so much harder for me? So now there's thousands of kids in North Carolina dealing with that, and it's got to change. Alrighty? Alright.